G'day guys, it's time to do the review for the Cats game of the week. It was Geelong up against Fremantle. It wasn't a great performance by the Cats, well, especially if you're a Cats fan. Certainly wasn't what we were after, mate. It was the Dockers in the end by 32 points. It's certainly one of their bigger wins against us. They're usually pretty close, usually around the 16-point mark for some reason, but yeah. No, not this time. But yeah, Fremantle by just over 5 goals. Shorty, what was sort of the finer points of the game, and what have you got to say?
Yeah, well, they hammered us early, didn't they? I mean, their spread from the clearance was outstanding. The clearances, they hammered us. We've mentioned that before. Contested ball, they hammered us. And, you know, the guys you don't want to get plenty of the ball were, you know, Fife on fire, Mundy, Barlow, Stephen Hill, I mean, Aaron Sandilands. Lee Matthews doesn't think he's much of an influence, but he tore us apart last night.
I know what he's talking about there.
Yeah, I mean, that was the big thing, you know. I mean, early on, they were up and about, and we just, you know, had a few chances, didn't quite take them, and yeah, we hadn't lost the first quarter up until last night, and yeah, it was a long way back from there. But how did you see some of those points in the match?
Yeah, well, yeah, as I keep saying, disappointing. I don't think the start could have been any better for Fremantle. Kick straight out to Pav and kicks a goal from the boundary line, which is just that's a 1 in 10, 1 in 20, you know, to get that. And he got
script for Fremantle,
yeah.
Wasn't it?
And you called the game once he kicked that. I mean, it was a bit of a joke, but there was certainly a lot of truth. It was a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy in the end. And you just saw Bartel, he dropped a couple of marks and he missed a couple of shots on goal. It was just uncharacteristic from him.
Yeah.
It really reflected Geelong's night, at least at the start of it, and at the end of it as well, showed how we really played. But Fremantle around the clearances, as you say, just brilliant. Seemingly an area we've been struggling in lately.
Yeah, and exactly.
They just worked hard, and their ability to spread, as you mentioned, was second to none, really.
Yeah. Whenever,
there was always a Fremantle player out, and you know we're in a bit of trouble when that happens. So
yeah, and we just weren't as clean as we need to be, and unfortunately it's the same few things over the past couple of weeks. Like in a game like that, Freo's up, it's Pav's 300th, you know, it's going all their way. You got to take those chances. And you mentioned with Bartel, yeah, we worked our way back into the game marginally, but it was done and dusted early, really. I mean, while we hung around, you know Geelong's always going to fight it out and hang around.
Yeah.
But, you know, you can't afford to give us such a good side like that sort of a head start, and there was nothing mediocre about that performance.
Nah, I don't know what Ross was thinking when he said that. Port Adelaide are just flying at the moment, and at Adelaide Oval they're as tough as they get, so they weren't stiff to lose. It was a fair enough game. I thought we'd probably win then, but yeah, on a bit of a lighter note, Fremantle just had the ability to be able to fumble and have all the time in the world, where if you flip it over the other side, Geelong just did not have that chance at all. If they fumbled it, which they did consistently, which was because of Fremantle's pressure, and Fremantle made them pay pretty much every time.
Yeah.
Geelong didn't quite make the most of their opportunities when Fremantle did make a few mistakes, just didn't convert from turnovers like we usually do. But yeah, certainly was a little bit disappointing, to say the very least.
Definitely. I mean, missing a guy like Christensen as well. We can't wait to get him back, because you know we just need him so badly. Motlop's still working his way into it, but he's certainly far from his best. And Travis Varco didn't touch the footy in the first quarter when the game was hot, and that never seems to get a mention when he's disappointing. But a few guys that Geelong lack a bit of pace, and they're sort of the guys that had it. And at the moment we're not getting it, and it was certainly fanned out when the opposing players for Fremantle tore us apart on the outside. It was pretty clear.
Yeah, their spread was just amazing, and their ability to hit up targets was really good as well. And yeah, Pav just kills us every time, and certainly rose to the occasion for his 300th, and he played really well. So
yeah, he certainly did. Yeah.
Well, yeah, we'll move on to the best three on the ground. Who'd you have, mate? For the Cats, anyway.
Yeah, I gave Joel Selwood the 3 votes. I don't think there'd be many arguments with that. He was sensational. 4-quarter performance, 35 touches, I think about 7 tackles as well. He was outstanding. He had probably a poor month or so, 3 or 4 weeks. And yeah, he was sensational. Clearly
responded well.
Yeah, I mean, he he was clearly the best by a long way. I gave 2 votes to Mitch Duncan. I thought he tried pretty hard, battled well. I mean, he's a quality player. It wasn't his best night around, but he wasn't alone for the Cats there. Had in the mid-20s of touches, quite a few tackles, and he really tried to get the Cats going, and he did at times. And I think they were definitely the 2 clear best for Geelong, but the 1 vote's a bit of a tough one.
It always is.
It seems to be the case of late, but I gave it to the young fella George Holland-Smith.
Georgie boy.
Yeah, career best stats as far as possessions. He had 30 touches. And while his impact maybe wasn't as good as, some other players with 30 touches, it was really impressive. And he added, because like we said, Christensen's out, Caddy's out, Matty Stokes is out. He filled that void pretty well. Got a fair bit of the ball, and I think it's worth noting, and I'll give him the 1 vote for that. But how about your 3 players? How did you see the votes?
Yeah, well, somewhat similar, and the 3s and 2s seem to be reasonably similar. But 3 for Joel Selwood. He was just outstanding, led from the front, played like a captain possessed, and he hasn't had a great sort of month or so, and really responded obviously against Freo, and would have expected him to have a pretty mediocre night with sort of how they usually get Crowley to tag him, but I think I called it. Jono would get the tag from Crowley. Yeah, you did. Which probably stopped him from sort of dominating the game, but it's a better call because Jono can hit the scoreboard more. Yeah. So Selwood was excellent over the 4 quarters. 2 to Mitch Duncan. He wasn't his best game, as you mentioned, but he was one of those players who was just trying to get the Cats sort of igniting them and just willing them sort of trying to get them across the line, which we were a bit shy of, unfortunately. So I thought his influence was really good, and I'll give the 1 vote to Tom Hawkins. It's a bit of a left of centre call here, but on Zach Dawson, kicked 3 goals, which wasn't too bad. It was a third of our score. We only kicked 9 goals for the game, and to think without Tommy, like how well we would have gone without him, probably would be a bit scary to think about that.
He made the most of pretty limited opportunities, that's for sure.
And that's why I think he was probably deserving of that vote. And I think last time we played Freo was 9 goals as well, and that was when we had just Walker in the side. But would have had a few other players, maybe like Christensen chipping in, but not Chappie. I was thinking Chappie might have chipped in, but he was the sub on his 250th. I don't know what happened there.
Go figure.
Bit silly, but we won't go there. So that's 2 9-goal performances in a row against them. It's a bit concerning. They concern a lot of sides with their ability to be so defensive. So those are sort of my 3. For the Cats. Chopping block time, your favourite segment on the show. Who have you got?
Not a great performance by the Cats, but not going to go chopping people off too much. But obviously Stokesy to come back. Bit of a tough one there, because you would probably imagine someone like Sheringham might make way for him there. He hasn't been that impressive. He looks like a good VFL footballer running around the scenes at the moment.
It's a sad truth.
I think that would probably be 1 move that they make, and I think another is Dawson Simpson. I think he's looking a bit tired, looking a bit slow. I think he has to have a week off and just change the dynamic, and the guy who should come in is Josh Walker, who was named our 2nd best in the VFL.
Yeah, he was.
And that's, he's done that quite a few times of late, and they just need someone else. I mean, you mentioned Tommy Hawkins before. He kicked 3, good performance, but you need to help him out. I mean, we saw how much Lance Franklin has performed better with Kurt Tippett. It just, you can't have all that focus on the one guy, and they double team Hawkins, and he gets bogged down. I think they have to play Walker. McIntosh, he's an adequate forward, but he's not going to win your grand final. So I think that's probably a move that needs to be made, and Jordan Schroeder's probably a guy who his pace could be one they might think about, but
we need it.
He's been playing good footy as well. And like I mentioned before, Travis Barco, he's just killing me. He's so frustrating. He's so frustrating, no touches in the first quarter at Patterson's. You got to use his pace. He's got to get involved, and he just consistently doesn't.
He just looks so slow from what he used to be. It's sad again.
When was the last time you saw him run a guy down?
This never happens
That's
anymore.
all he brought to the table in his first, 20 20 games. That's what got him a game. So it's really frustrating, but I don't think he'll get dropped. I think it'll probably be maybe 1 or 2 changes. Of course, Stokesy and that will come back in, but I don't think there was any serious injuries. I think Johnson possibly for an off-the-ball incident with Crowley, but
who knows what the match review panel is going to say about that.
Yeah, who knows. But you want a bit of a look at next week's game and what's going to be a pretty big game for both clubs?
Yeah, well, we've got North Melbourne at Simmons Stadium next Friday night. Huge game. You never know which North Melbourne side is going to come to the table on any given game. So, yeah, they could bring their A game and beat us comfortably, or just be mediocre. And, well, who knows what could happen. If they were mediocre, they could still beat us the way we played against Rio. But, yeah, it's a huge game. They've sort of got a bit of the wood over us at the moment. North have sort of beaten us, I think, 2 of the last 3 times. They played against us. They beat us in 2012 by, I think it was 16, 17 points. They got us late in 2013. We got them early. So, yeah, that's... yep, so 2 of the last 3, they've got us, mate.
Yeah. Settle down, mate. Don't get too worried.
They're a good side when they come to play, and they usually come to play against us. It's like the brothers go to battle, and
no, you're right there. They do tend to North are often up for us. That's for sure. I think if it was at Etihad Stadium, it'd be a real 50-50 game, possibly just in favour of North Melbourne. But I think being down the highway, I'd still back us in to bounce back. I'll still be picking us and fairly confident, but it'll be a pretty good game. It'll be a tough test, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I just think North will win, mate. I hate saying it, but just at the moment, yeah. Even with that loss to Port Adelaide, we came out against Richmond and just gave a pretty ordinary performance, tripping over the line, and I thought we'd go alright against the Tigers. I thought it'd be close, but not under a kick.
Yeah.
Bearing in mind they did get a few late ones, but still they got them, and that's all that matters. But I just reckon North will bring their A game against us, and we can't afford to be slack. So I think their pace is always worrying, and I think their tall forwards will be a bit of an issue too. They certainly love a contested mark.
Yeah,
so.
I think however it pans out, we'll know where we're at. I mean, we've had a decent start to the season without playing amazing footy by any stretch. I mean, Chris Scott has admitted that already. And I think if we can take down North Melbourne, it'll show that we've still got it there. Yeah. We still can match it with those really top sides when they're up and going, because they destroyed Brisbane.
Of course, yeah.
But if we were to lose there, given at Simmons Stadium, that would be a really, that would be cause for concern, no doubt. Yeah,
I think it's season on the line stuff, and I don't mean that as in making the top 8. I mean in terms of making sort of top 4, because if we sort of don't really get it across the line, huge question marks, and it'll probably suggest Scotty hasn't done too much about sort of identifying the main issues that have been of concern, such as the clearance work, contested ball, all that kind of stuff. So I hope we win, mate. I think North might have us, but that's what I think will happen. So. And just on your point there too, it has bunched up. It's 3 games in a row, pretty much. Yeah. Yeah, like Sydney, all of a sudden in fine form. They've slipped into real contention for top 4. The Dockers, obviously, they're back in vein, in amongst Hawthorn, Port Adelaide, and North Melbourne looking great again. Yeah. So we're not just cruising along now, sitting in 2nd and 3rd. It's time to flick the switch. Yeah, absolutely. So those are some thoughts from Shorty and myself. Feel free to comment your thoughts on the game, where Geelong could have gone better. And feel free to check out my mate Darijoe, who does the Geelong goal videos each week. I'm sure he'll have the game up by the time this video is uploaded. So check him out. Go over and subscribe to him, and subscribe to us as well. That's always good. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you guys soon.